Welcome to Dubai Soul Oasis, where we go behind the scenes of elite performance, from Premier League football to Formula One, Olympic arenas to everyday life. I'm your host Priscilla, and in these episodes I sit with Paul Cheung, chiropractor with more than 35 years experience keeping athletes, pilots and factory workers at their best in their performance. Together we'll share fun stories, real life adventures, and we hope that this series will give you a lot of simple takeaways that you can implement in your own life. And let's do this. Paul, you're not only one of my dearest friends, but you're also an incredible, humble and beautiful gentleman. And it's always so exciting to see your life stories, because there's so much that you have experienced. And next to being a friend, you're also my personal chiropractor, which I'm very lucky and happy about. As you know, I am a very enthusiastic equestrian and I need maintenance on a regular basis.
Yes, you do.
So I'm very happy that I've got you in my life, and I'm grateful that we can do these episodes together and share to the world how amazing you are and what incredible experiences you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure I'll share with you and people out there, the amazing behind the scenes stories of working in elite sport.
Can you tell us all about your journey from West Yorkshire Industries into the elite sports?
When I graduated in 1990, originally, from the south of England, I went up to Yorkshire and got my first job in a clinic there. And for the first 10 years working in private practice, became involved with people who worked in factories, particularly around the West Yorkshire area, in the woolen mills, the dyeing mills, food manufacturing, stonemasons, and so on. And it just became really interesting that people valued their well-being, their productivity, putting bread on the table for their families. Consistency really helped people over the years. Now, I started getting athletes coming in to see me individually, personally, and they were reporting that they were performing a lot better after they had chiropractic treatment, which then led me into contacting Leeds United Football Club in the year 2000-2001 season.
Amazing. So see, that's what I'm saying. There's so much to you. So what was your very first job as a chiropractor?
Very first job was starting in the new clinic, seeing patients. Now, Harrogate had a very high number of geriatric patients, and what was really nice was to be able to get retired folk active again. And they may have been written off by the general practitioner, and they couldn't play golf, they couldn't do crown green bowling, and in the end I got these people functioning and enjoying their lives, their retired lives, which is what they set out to do.
I would like to go a little bit deeper into that. So was this a clinic that you got your first job at, or was this your family business, or was this your own clinic that you immediately started?
It was a clinic that I joined that was already established for quite a number of years, and I was working at the time for the president of the British Chiropractic Association, and it was wonderful to be invited up to her practice to work. And Yorkshire was a place I never thought I'd end up in, though I did fall in love with it. Very picturesque, beautiful place. And I enjoyed meeting people, with funny accents.
Yeah. And how many years did you work there?
I was only there for about a year, and then due to changes in circumstances where the clinic director sold the practice, I basically lost my job overnight.
Oh gosh.
And that spurred me on to setting up my own practice. Though having spent a year under her wing, it was good to be able to have the experience of running a business, So I set up not only one clinic, a year later set up another clinic, then set up another clinic. I actually ended up with four different practices over North and West Yorkshire.
Okay, in what time span?
In the space of about 5 years.
Oh my goodness. So you don't sit still, right?
No, definitely not.
But how did you do that? Because of course you've got the talent and the knowledge of the actual chiropractic work, but how do you know that you get the right people that can do the same level of work that you do?
Yeah, this was difficult because when you wanted to put people into your practice, you do a round of interviews. On the CV, they may look fantastic. You meet them, they may seem fairly competent, though I have come across some serious cowboys in the industry, and unfortunately they had to go.
Yeah, of course. My gosh.
Later on, I became a trainer for new graduates, which ensured that they came out a better standard after they graduated. And once they set up by themselves, they basically had a good grounding in clinical management of patients, though also a little bit of business management as well. Business management wasn't easy. I basically learned the hard way. You made a lot of mistakes, though it teaches you how to do it better the next time.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened for you to start your own clinics, by losing your job. When you are kind of in stress and in a low point in your life, you reinvent yourself, right? And with that, you push your limits, you train yourself, and okay, it's not every time going to be smooth sailing. Life would be too easy if it's that way.
Well, exactly. And I got married early, started a family. So again, that was always in the forefront of our mind, to keep them well supported.
Yes.
Though it didn't take long for clinic business to build up. And it got to a point where I started to sell the businesses at a profit, because the kids were saying, "Dad, you're never home. I want you to, come home and read me a story and put me to bed." I was constantly going from one clinic to another, stopping off eating fish and chips at 8 o'clock in the evening on the way home. So I was missing out family time, though it made me realise how important life is. And I sold eventually 3 clinics and kept one. And however, having said that, I then ended up in football and athletics, which then took me away for a period of time as well, Formula One especially.
Yeah, exactly. So there's lots to come, because, as I said, there's so many stories that Paul can share with us. And this is just the introduction of actually who is Paul. How did working in factories and industries prepare you for the elite sports? Can you see a crossover?
Yeah, I think fundamentally you're looking for things that cause people stress and the injury and the risk of injury. And when you start to understand the mechanism behind their injury, then you can look at treating the problem effectively, looking at ways to change the way they move, change the way they work, or maybe even help them train a little bit, to become stronger at what they do. So you can help them build resilience so that you can prevent the injury from, happening again. Looking at their break times is also important, getting them to stretch, whilst they're on a break, or even just simply resting. Making sure that they're eating well, but also that they're well hydrated as well, because some people just simply just drink tea or coffee and that's it. They're not hydrating properly. They're in fact dehydrating with all the caffeine they're taking in. So you start to look at it from a human performance perspective. How can you get them functioning optimally and keep them functioning? And so therefore you're not only dealing with the acute onset of the injury, you're also helping them to become more sustainable, over a longer period of time.
Yeah. But how is there an overlap between somebody that does maybe like in industry or work, they have same patterns possibly in their work ways? So how can you compare those kind of bodies to an athlete who is working their full body system? So how do you relate the two?
Again, with an athlete, depending on the sport, it could be more complex, more demanding, on their physiology. So from transitioning from factory worker to professional athletes, you can see the similarities. It's just being able to appreciate more of what the athlete does to themselves and how you can tweak them to get the best out of them.
Yeah.
So I think neurologically, they are way more developed when it comes to professional sports, though there's still the fundamentals of dealing with an athlete. You've still got to go back to basics and get them right from the beginning.
Yeah. And of course, any worker, anybody that has intense activity on a daily basis, always need to go back to that basics, right? Because it's your whole core being, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've also got to look at their rest periods, their sleep. This is one thing that's so important, for their recovery and, as I said, with sustainability and keeping them going from one week to the next, or in the case of an athlete, one season to the next.
Yeah. And I do know you have a very interesting story with the industrial workers that the productivity increases by having your chiropractic support. I mean, can you tell us about the £20,000 investment that actually turned into a 250,000 return?
Yeah, I was really quite astounded when the manager of a particular factory that manufactured dog food, cat food, biscuits, pasta sauces. A year had gone by. I didn't even know a year had gone by. I was so busy all the time. And the guy came in and said, look, we've spent £20,000 on your productivity. Now, I thought he was going to try and talk me down, being a Yorkshireman. But he ended up saying it's been fantastic because we've seen a gross income increase in productivity that went up to £250,000 that year, which is like mind-blowing. You're thinking, wow, fantastic. And he said it's all because people came back to work earlier because of the injuries that were managed. They stayed at work, they were happier, and they were more productive. The company looked after the workers, and therefore they got more out of the workers as a result.
And it actually really makes sense.
Totally,
when you say it out loud, it's like, duh,
Yeah, when you look after people and you give them the best of the best, it's going to work. Yeah. And when I fast forward it into Formula One, and I was looking after a team of 75 travelling personnel plus the drivers, race to race, week to week, season to season, it made a huge difference to them.
Yeah, makes sense. And how do you feel about today's age? Are companies more involved, and do they realize that looking after their personnel will give a positive impact on their returns?
I think there's still a lot of catching up to do in companies, though we have seen more companies getting involved in looking after the people's posture, their ergonomics, their working habits, and also encouraging people to go and exercise and train more. So we do see that across the board. Though there are some companies, unfortunately, they're just more interested in the productivity aspect of it, irrespective of the well-being of the person.
Yeah. And for us being in Dubai, Dubai is a very a country where a lot of individuals are very sport-orientated, healthy, fitness, body, mind, soul. Do you feel there's a huge difference between Dubai and the UK?
Yeah, that's what attracted me to coming to Dubai in 2016. I could see that the Crown Prince, Sheikh Hamdan, he is a massive fitness expert and enjoys exercising, and was promoting everyone to get fit and get fitter. You see the number of gyms that are set up everywhere around Dubai. The quality as well is fantastic, so it just encourages you to go. So definitely no time for slacking. And what I noticed as well was that people not only wanted to get themselves fit, they also wanted to get themselves well. So there's a massive drive for people who want to eat well and also remain fit and healthy. Though what I did see in the first year of working in Dubai was the number of 25 to 35-year-olds who had a lot of back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain because of office work. Now, Dubai has an amazing work ethic and a strong culture, and I think when people go to work, they really apply themselves. there's no welfare, to support people if they.
It's very much here, play hard, work
yeah,
hard.
that's right.
Right.
So people want to make a success of themselves here, and as a result, some people have compromised themselves, and that's why they ended up with a lot of back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, headaches, and so on. And they come and find someone like myself.
Yeah, amazing. And when did you actually then bringing that thought process? When did you first realize that chiropractic could impact performance and not just remove pains and aches?
It goes back a long time. When I was an undergraduate, 1989, and I was working in the outpatients clinic under supervision. This gentleman comes in, he's hurt his back. I treated him. Next day, he rings me up. He goes, is it normal to get a bit of soreness after treatment? And I said, yes, it's the healing process. It does involve a little bit of blood flow and changes to the neuromuscular complexity of the lumbar spine. And then he said, you know what? It's the first time I've actually hit a golf ball straight and further than I ever have done.
Oh, wow.
It was from that point I thought, wow, this stuff really works. So, and every so often, for the first 10 years of practice and dealing with private patients coming in, you just noticed how much better people felt after they got treated.
Yeah.
And it enhanced what they could do.
Yeah, you really see a pattern, I guess, over the years. And you have your own little test cases that you deal with on a daily basis, right?
That's right, yeah.
And I can totally relate. As I'm an equestrian, I ride horses every single day, and it's incredibly important that the horse is in great condition, but you as a rider, you also need to be completely in balance for your horse, for the horse to perform at its best, because we don't want to be in the horse's way. So I certainly know how important it is, how every little tweak makes such an impact on your daily ride.
Absolutely, because you're connected to the horse, and they can pick it up. They can pick up your issues as well, and unfortunately, it can change the way they express their movements. In a similar way, if a Formula One driver is not in optimum shape, he's not going to be able to get much out of his car. Yeah, and I've seen that time and time again.
Wow.
But that's another story.
That's another story. Yeah, we'll do a full episode on Formula One for sure, because we want to get really deep into that. And indeed with the horses as well, because also that will be a different episode, but you also treat animals, including horses. And there we also noticed that if the horse is out of balance, you as a rider take that and compromise in your body. So it's so important to get the horse in the right body structure, so you can be in the right body structure, and you constantly have to maintain each other to keep moving forward and to keep growing as a team and become better and better, right?
There's an incredible dynamic between horse and rider, and I've seen that on the polo field and also in the equestrian racing, which is very big here in the UAE. And it's been a privilege to have made a difference, to some of the horses and the riders, in this incredible sport that I've never been exposed to.
Yeah.
Sure, I treated some horses that were part of the riding school in Yorkshire, though it's very small compared to the industry here. Yeah. However, I've stopped treating animals for the simple reason I've just got too busy with humans.
Yeah. And now people know you're in Dubai, and once they see these episodes, I think you'll get a few extra calls, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right.
You better start opening more clinics.
More clinic hours. Yeah,
more clinic hours. Right. Can you just expand the 24 hours? Easy, no?
Yeah, if I could do without sleep, I'll be fine.
Yeah. So Paul, tell me, I do know how you got your first chiropractic job, but your background and your family was restaurants.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What made you go this direction?
Just simply down to the fact that Chinese parents, they worked really hard to look after the family. They did not want me to take over the restaurant. They said, no, you're going to do better than us. We want you to be doctors, lawyers, bankers, anything but the restaurant trade, because they said it was extremely hard work. And over the years, seeing them, working very, very hard since the 60s. And in fact, it was my grandfather and his uncle who established one restaurant in Chinatown in London back in the 1950s. We grew up helping the family where possible, though it taught us a valuable lesson in that hard work, will yield benefits. So they had a very strong work ethic. Though it also helps me to develop a rapport with people. When I was a spotty 14-year-old teenager and I got kicked out into the front of the restaurant to become a waiter, that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing ever. Suddenly I had to deal with customers of many backgrounds and descriptions. Though I really started to enjoy interacting with people, because people took a genuine interest in what I did at school, what kind of sports I liked, and so on. Though when it came to looking for a career, and my parents did send me to a very good school, I was looking at doing all the sciences, ultimately to become a medical doctor.
Okay.
I went to look at a few of the teaching hospitals in London and decided, actually, this isn't what I want. When I saw grumpy doctors and consultants walking around, nurses fighting with patients, I suddenly thought, no, this isn't really what I want to do. However, I still wanted to specialise in something, ultimately be my own boss and make a real difference. Back pain was one of those things that was a very grey area, and to some degree still is, though now it's more widely researched. I made the right decision back in the 80s to become a chiropractor. And back then, chiropractors weren't that well known. I think only 4% of the population in the UK knew what a chiropractor was.
Gosh.
At the time. Though due to now, when you wind forwards 30 odd years, you've got social media, et cetera. Yeah, people know what chiropractors are.
Yeah, I see horror images on Instagram, for example, that I'm like, oh, no, they call themselves chiropractors. I'm like, no, that's
they're
too
not
painful.
great. Because back in the day, when you went to see a chiropractor, it was always, a private
hammering
thing.
away, right?
Oh, yeah. It was a private thing. You don't talk about things like that. But now it's out in the open.
Your parents were actually quite visionaries because they saw where they maybe lacked of the ability to change the life for them to do it differently. But it's incredible that they kind of spoon-fed you and give you that push to explore and broaden that horizon.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, Mum and Dad, they've always been very, very proud of what we've achieved. I'm talking about my older sister, younger sister. Older sister went into finance and banking, and she did really well out of it. She retired early. I wished I'd done that. I'm still working. Even some of the Premiership football players I've looked after years ago, they retired ages ago. I'm still working.
What are you doing wrong?
Yeah, I know, I've done something wrong. A younger sister ended up in IT from becoming a graphic designer. So, we did really well out of it. I've got a cousin who's 3 years younger than me. He went to chiropractic college as well. So, he's got a clinic in southeast London.
Still.
Yeah. And my eldest son, he's a chiropractor as well.
Yes. Yes. And that's the beautiful thing, because you are such a role model. And again, I'm sure you're bringing the values that your parents brought to you, to your kids, because you've got a beautiful family.
Thank you.
And for them then, one of them at least, to take on what you have built is pretty special. I'm sure you feel quite warm
absolutely.
about that.
Yeah, I don't expect them all to be in the mould of Dad. And I'm so glad my daughter is working, creating her own company in branding and social media marketing. And my second eldest son, he's working again for a marketing company in Brisbane and doing extremely well. Yeah. The youngest one, who's here, he's into economics and business finance.
Oh.
So he doesn't want to become a chiropractor.
No.
Though I said to him, don't be a chiropractor, go and work in finance like your auntie did.
Yeah, you can retire early.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at your current setup, I mean, you're in Dubai, you've done so many organizations, you train a lot of people, you still treat people. Where do you see yourself moving forward? I know retired, but still,
No,
you can never let go, I don't think.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
It's really hard, and I've had many discussions with my wife about this, and she said, "No, just keep going as long as you want to and you're capable, and maybe I slow down a little bit, maybe cut down a few hours, perhaps. Though the buzz of keeping industries going is fantastic. We have a big contract with Emirates Airlines. The clinic I work in, up and running medical centre, they've got a few branches dotted around Dubai. They scored a big contract with Emirates Airlines, and we look after a lot of pilots, cabin crew, and engineering, ground staff, and so on.
Wow.
So you feel you're part of another big family.
Yeah.
And I just recently came back from Thailand, and one of the crew was one of my patients.
Oh, amazing.
And it was just so nice when you see them on board, and then they give you extra treats.
How do you feel you developed yourself in actually a more spiritual level by having done this work, by having gone through owning own businesses, selling businesses, working for bosses, having your family life, being an amazing dad, also a beautiful dog dad, as we say, because your baby boy is really your baby boy.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And he loves to drive in your Porsche.
Yeah.
Going to the beach.
Yeah.
It's not many people that I think that would be taking the dogs in their Porsche for beach rides, but hey, life is short.
Yeah, exactly. You just enjoy it to the full. And I think over the years of working in business, it teaches you how to try and conserve your energy and look after yourself, because you're putting so much effort and energy out there that you've got to also be careful it doesn't completely consume you. So I love my quiet times and taking my Hugo Boss dog out, these quiet walks. It's wonderful.
Have you had any experiences that has changed you from in the core, because it was such a eye-opening experience?
Some patients, have come in with some serious challenges that are simply not what you'd expect to see in a chiropractor's office. And one case springs to mind where a gentleman, he's limping in, and I said, "What happened?" And he said, "I was shot in the ankle during a bank raid."
Oh.
And he was a security guard in this building society, and the robbers came and they blasted his ankle and said, "I've had multiple surgeries, and my goal is to play football once again." And I said, "I have no idea, how I'm going to turn this around, but let's deal whatever I can deal with, and let's see what happens." And in a number of weeks, he started to regain some functional movements, gradually building up strength. And he one day came in and he goes, "Hey, guess what? I'm playing in goal. I don't have to run around a lot, but I'm playing in goal. I'm so happy."
Oh, wow.
So that really spurred me on to look at some of the harder, sort of cases to help people where medicine perhaps couldn't. Another case, one lady, she suffered horrendously with multiple sclerosis and lots of spasms and contractures in her arms and her legs. And every session I did, with her, just gave her a few more weeks of relief and flexibility, and so on. Another case, it was really sad. A young lady comes in, and she's on crutches. Previously, she was in a wheelchair. Sadly, she was on a trip with her fiance, who died in a car accident.
Oh.
And then, she came in, and you could tell, because I knew her from before, what a broken soul, she was. But at least I managed to help her
Ease the pain.
get walking again.
Yeah.
And so you suddenly look at things differently, and you safeguard yourself against extreme sports. I don't want to be injured. I've already been injured before trying to ski. I would love a motorbike, love speed, but at the same time, my mum and my wife says, "No, you're never getting a motorbike.
Yeah.
You've got family to consider."
Yes.
And you think, yeah, you're so right. Still even a Vespa would be great.
Yeah.
But even so, my wife says, no, you're definitely not getting a Vespa. Okay, because
Go
I've
to
seen
Dragon
people.
Mart for the little scooter then.
Yes,
That's allowed.
I mean, I've seen people with fractured shoulders even being on an e-scooter
Yeah.
or something. You think, God, so anything on two wheels, forget it.
Yeah, scrap it.
Yeah,
Scrap.
that's right. Car, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you learn a lot from your patients. What to do, what not to do, habits, alcohol. Is one big aspect that when again it's on the patient questionnaire when they sign up and register with you. How much do you smoke, how much do you drink, do you exercise, and it's incredible how over the years, even though I've obviously enjoy a few drinks every so often, you start to perhaps indulge in it less and less because of the detrimental effects it can have on your neurological system.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how as you get older your values do shift and change, and so you do draw a lot from these life experiences and understand how to look after yourself in order for you to look after your patients, but more importantly your family as well. I think it's important to watch what you eat, especially with the sugars that are in our diets and the strange oils, that anything that's ultra refined and processed, we've got to be really careful. If we go back to basics of the war diets, pre-war diets, where people just ate meat, vegetables, they had butter, probably dairy that's not been that well refined or processed, people actually were healthier. In fact, they ran an experiment. It was done on a Channel 4 program years ago, where they gave a classroom of, I think, 11-year-olds a pre-war diet, meat and vegetables, really basic stuff. And then the other classroom of 11-year-old kids, they gave pizzas, chicken nuggets, you name it, whatever they wanted. They looked at the test scores weeks later. The ones with the pre-war diet did so much better with their test scores.
Oh, wow.
But when they also did the parameters of their fats, their muscle abilities, and their physical testing, they actually did way better. And that was just through diet alone.
Wow. Yeah.
So look after your diet. Stay hydrated. Don't worry about salt intake, because especially in Dubai, we do need to increase our salt intake due to dehydration.
Yeah.
And I bang on about electrolytes all the time. Athletes, they don't drink enough of it sometimes.
Really, I can't live without my electrolytes.
Exactly.
I've already before 8:30, I already have 2 liters down with electrolytes.
And what a difference it makes. I told my sister to do this.
Yeah.
She's a golfer. She used to get around to the 12th hole, 13th hole, and she would be tired, couldn't focus, couldn't concentrate. Gave her a tube of electrolyte tablets. I said, look, start taking this. She can get through to the 18th hole, no problem.
Small change.
Simple it is. So all these little subtleties can make a big difference to your health. Sleep is a big thing as well. I think a lot of people just do not sleep enough. They'd rather shortchange themselves. They eat when they shouldn't, late at night, to give them the energy to keep them going. Because they're thinking they're being productive, they're on the phone, they're doing a deal, whatever. And it's wrong.
Yeah.
In the end, it's going to age you. It's not going to do anything for your health and fitness. You're going to end up sick. At some point.
And Dubai is very inviting for that, because the city lives 24/7, and there's so much that you can do. So it's very hard to wheel that back. I mean, if I'm Dutch, so I'm from the Netherlands. There we have everything shuts down at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you have your evening. We eat potatoes at 6:30. With the whole family, and that's it, right? And then you have rest. Here, it's like your day starts at 6 o'clock in the evening, right? Because you've had your work day, and then you have your second part of the day. You can go into the malls, you can go exercise, and you can meet up with friends, and it goes deep into the night. But then in the end, like, for example, myself, and I really need to change that as well, it's like I sleep sometimes 5 hours, 5.5 hours on average. And I'm going. But I know it's not a long-term solution, and I think there's a lot of people in my position as well that are doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And some people will over-exercise to compensate. They want to boost their strength and their energy to power through a hard day's work. we get it, and the human body is ultimately built for survival, and when you push it, it will rise to that challenge and will become stronger in order to help you keep going.
Yeah.
Though in the end, is it good for your health? Probably not.
No.
We dealt with a lot of injuries of people who did high intensity interval training, HIIT training, powerlifting, and disc herniations were so common. Now, this was pre-COVID. When COVID happened and gyms shut down,
Yeah.
of course we didn't see any, very few patients came in. But afterwards, when people started to get back into the gyms, they changed their mindset. They didn't want to injure themselves and do high intensity stuff.
Yeah.
A small percentage of you will be able to do the high intensity powerlifting, high rocks training, stuff like that. Fantastic. Though for a lot of people, they discover that their bodies are just not geared towards putting up or tolerating that type of exercise. So you've got to look at your body type and figure out in time what's actually good for you and what to avoid.
Well, thanks again for such a beautiful insight.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to the rest of the episodes. Keep on sharing the good energy, and looking forward to the next ones.
Super. See you then.
Thank you.